So you have to have somebody who can really execute up top and then have some energy and some youth and some speed around them. There's got to be one on the front line that's holding it down.
McCall's putting a lot of pressure on that veteran forward. It's like everything relies on you. I get it,
but I think
though.
you get that from youth. I think you can still get that from youth if they get the experience. Youth does not equal inexperienced to me.
It was the youth and the kids and guys that showed, frankly, to start this game. It was chaos. It was sprinting. They were doing wind sprints, 120s to get this game going, back and forth and up and down the pitch. And it looked chaotic. There was no one really taking control of the game to control the tempo, to put their foot on the ball. And it leads us to this massive question of youth versus experience and how we find that sweet spot. What is that sweet spot? Is there a sweet spot? So in terms of particular positions, Darian, are there preferred positions where you would rather have a veteran versus an inexperienced player?
I mean, 100%. Let's look at a defender. You want experience. You want to trust. You want to know that the decision making is going to be good and they're going to play simple and not overcomplicate the game for everybody else moving forward who have to make more real-time decisions against defenders, against an ever-changing defense. As we move up the field, go with the youth. I am not fully on board with this. Some players are too young to be in this camp. To me, it's about your experience and your reaction to those experiences. I think we've seen players like a Alyssa Thompson, who, yes, came in early, or a Mallory Swanson, who came in young, and she learned so quickly. She stayed in this national team group and has become a staple for this team. The U.S. changes the way they play when Mallory Swanson is on the pitch. I think Alyssa Thompson, for me, is on a track to be one of those players. Once she gets her decision-making down early in the match, it's going to be lights out. She still has a lot to grow there, but as we move higher up the pitch, to me, that's where you can experiment a lot more. That's not going to change the chemistry between everybody so much because you can trust what's happening back there. You have the freedom to explore up front because you know that you're going to get the ball back and get those chances to actually experiment up there. But I'm curious what McCall thinks about the middle of the pitch.
Middle of the pitch, I'll go on in a second, but it can't be all youth up top because then you'll have inconsistency, you'll lack the clinicalness, you'll lack that refinement, the execution, and all the things that you're going to push and pull an opponent to control a game. And they're the first line of your press. They're the ones that can pop you in an early goal if they have that clinicalness. If they lack it, if they keep missing chance after chance, then you start to lose hope. Your squad does. So you have to have somebody who can really execute up top and then have some energy and some youth and some speed around them. There's got to be one on the front line that's holding it down.
McCall's putting a lot of pressure on that veteran forward. It's like everything relies on you. I get it,
but I think
though.
you get that from youth. I think you can still get that from youth if they get the experience. Youth does not equal inexperienced to me. That's my crux with this conversation.
I think that there's times when they go hand in hand, though, because yes, Lily Johannes has been a professional and she's still 17 though, right? And or you could look at someone like Mandy McGlynn, who at 26 years old is not as experienced at different things, because I think a lot of
Champions League football.
Exactly.
We're talking about triple espresso. Triple espresso was so young at the Olympics. Triple espresso was still
had
young.
A lot of
All of those players.
They had a lot of experience.
They had experience. They were given the time to do it. And then boom, bop, bam. They beat out veterans that had been in the national team for so long. I think it just takes time. It just takes time to build that chemistry.
Do you think, Darian, experience solely can come from internationals and U.S. camps? Because when you look at the take 10 steps back and look at the global landscape of soccer, Emma Hayes coming in has brought in players that are playing overseas, right? Lily Johannes, who is a professional, who even in the NWSL, players that have gone professional younger, they've foregone college. Every single player that started tonight for the U.S. was not a rookie, and they're not in college. They're all at least in their second year of being a professional. Is that experience?
Yeah. Unfortunately, some players are on teams where they have people around them that really elevate their game. I mean, McCall's a player that showed me how to be a pro when I was a rookie. I was like, holy shit, I really have to take care of myself. Oh my God. McCall stays an an hour after training and takes care of herself. And like we're hearing players like Trinity Rodman talk about that. And she's in her 20s. Now imagine these younger players who are now surrounded by players as professional as say a McCall Zerboni, that it takes time to learn it. And yes, hopefully they are on those teams. Reality is not everybody is, but you getting that experience. Alyssa Thompson training with Kristen Press and talking about how much that's helped her game. That experience can come with your club team too, but it's a different type of pressure. I know McCall can speak to that way more than I can, of being in a national team and how quick you have to learn. And to me, looking at the reaction of the players and how quick you translate that to your actual game and how you take care of yourself, how you prepare and how you alter and get better is really where you're measured on if you're getting called in again or not.
Yeah, it's a different level of playing on the global stage, but it's also a different dynamic in a tournament setting, right? So the organization of the competition. So when you have a lot of chaotic energy and you're expending it right fast because you're young and you're running around and you're not controlling the game. Well, in a tournament, when you're playing a game every 3 days, you're going to burn out useless energy and you're not going to have it to sustain through the semifinal and the final. And all of a sudden you're going to have heavy legs because you were doing too much running in the first group stages that you didn't need to do. So controlling games, I think, comes with experience, and we've got to have some players are out there that can really grip a game, hold on to it, control everybody in there, limit the chaotic energy, and just be more useful with their energy.
McCall, I want to ask about this midfield because it was young, right? When you look at the players that started this game, with Corbin Albert being the most experienced. Yes, she plays in Europe and she's played in big competitions, but she's only 21 years old. Lily Johannes at 17, Claire Hutton at 19. How obvious was it during this game against Brazil that this was a young and somewhat inexperienced at the international level midfield?
Yeah, big stadiums, big games, Champions League, they get to play on those things, but there is nothing like putting on the jersey for your country. There is nothing like that. You just feel this different wave of expectation and pressure and pride and all the things that you don't get at a club level. And also playing a different style of play at your club and then having to come in with your national team, be like, okay, guys, what's our identity? Who are we? What's our formation? How do we play? And just, being in and out of camps and not having a lot of experience together is really important for the midfield, right? Because they're that anchor, they're that line of defense that connects the defenders with the attack. And you need to have a lot of fluidity in there and a lot of familiarity with each other to really anchor the game. And so having a young midfield today showed because of that lack of understanding with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so chaotic. They needed someone. Frankly, this first 30 minutes, I kept saying, they need someone like a Lindsay Horan out there who is going to just put her foot on the ball.
Heaps.
Oh, heaps. Oh gosh,
Put
$5 in the jar. Put $5 in the jar.
Well, the chat's putting dollars in the jar and drinking for you, Darian, with your Bing Bop Boot. It's so good. It's so good. But this game called for a Lindsay Horan or even Sam Coffey, her heaps. Oh my goodness. Or even Sam Coffey in the midfield, especially in this first 30 minutes, because that's when it's so chaotic. Emma Hayes even said after the first game, that's why she didn't start Lily Johannes. She wanted her to watch, see how physical it was, learn from the first 60 minutes of the game before she came in. And it's not to say that Claire Hutton, Lily Johannes, Corbin Albert shouldn't deserve a start, but it can't be all youth and inexperience at some point. You have to have some balance in almost like a level-headed player that is going to be able to dictate the tempo, because it was all gas, no brakes for this US side. And if you have someone that is a little bit more concerned with slowing the game down, specifically in the center part of the field, that's going to help you, because your front runners, you want them going. You want Alyssa Thompson at 100 miles an hour all the time, right? So you're not going to ask her to slow down. Kat Macario has to keep up with Thompson and get on her horse, as does Michelle Cooper. But then there was this giant gap at times between the front line and the midfield because there was no one there to connect it and bring the lines together.